Napping is a necessary tool to be used by anyone in pursuit of optimal health, happiness, and productivity. Naps will change your life. Hey there, I'm Fran and welcome to this new YouTube video. Today we're exploring how to take the perfect nap. We'll invite some really smart people to the party to help us figure this out, including Sarah Mednick, the author of Take a Nap, Change Your Life. You can check out the philosopher's notes of this book made by Brian Johnson, which is basically the distillation of wisdom from this book by Sarah, resource that inspired this video. I'll link it in the resources below. This video will be divided in 3 main sections. As usual, we'll start with why we should nap and how that connects to our human nature and to what the peak performers of our current era are doing. Then we are going to figure out how to get around some objections and excuses I had in the past and you may be having right now. And finally, we're going to deconstruct the 4-step process I use for taking effective naps every single day. So let's jump in. So there are lots of benefits science has discovered from taking naps, but the 5 main benefits that I experience when I take naps are the following. 1, my afternoon cognitive performance increases significantly. I feel like I have 2 days in one as it relates to cognitive performance. The second one is that it reduces stress significantly, especially with the method that I will describe later in the video. Number 3 is that it boosts my creativity. Number 4 is that it helps me make better decisions. And number 5 is that it elevates my mood quite significantly later in the day, as opposed to when I don't take naps. As you know, if you've been following along, I'm all about living in accordance with our human nature on the one hand, and on the other hand, I'm all about studying what the peak performers are currently doing and combining this ancient wisdom and modern science into the practical tools that will help us move from theory to practice and figure out what we should be doing to unlock our human potential and to take our performance to the highest level. Now, if we start with the big picture, ancient wisdom perspective, and we start thinking about how we sleep, we soon realize how ridiculous, how absurd it is to think that we can function at our peak with only 1 session of sleep. This is what our friend Sarah has to say on the topic. Let's look at the rest of the animal kingdom. Do any other species try to get all their sleep in one long stretch? No, they are all multiphasic, meaning that they have many phases of sleep. Homo sapiens, our modern industrialized variety anyway, stand alone in attempting to satisfy the need for sleep in one phase. And even that distinction is a relatively recent development. For most of our history, a rest during the day was considered as necessary a component of human existence as sleeping at night. As A. Roger Eckert, one of the few historians to study sleep, put it, napping is a tool as old as time itself. And if you are familiar with the term siesta, get this. By the 1st century BC, the Romans had divided their day into periods designated for specific activities such as prayer, meals, and rest. Midday became known as sexta, as in the 6th hour, which is noon by their way of counting, a time when everyone would go to bed. The word has survived in the familiar term siesta. So throughout all our history, we've been, taking naps and considering this as an essential part of our days. I think we should be paying more attention to them. Now, that's all great in theory, but if you told me this 3 years ago and tried to convince me to take naps, the last thing that I would have done was to actually try taking naps. And I would have given you one of these 3 excuses. The first one being, I don't have time to nap. Who has time to nap, right? The second one would have been something along the lines of, I have never been a napper, I'm not designed for naps, I can't fall asleep easily anyway. And the third one would have been something like, naps interfere with my sleep, so I would rather prioritize my sleep and being tired so that I can sleep easily at night. than to take a nap. So let's challenge the objections my 3 years ago version of myself had and that you may be having as well. Now the first one and the most obvious and common one, I don't have time to nap. I simply can't. Well, first, I don't think that is true. And second, you need to understand that naps don't have to be long to be effective. So although the perfect nap will range from 15 minutes to 40 minutes, we'll explore that later. Even a 6-minute nap has been shown effective in boosting our performance. So if you would only have 6 minutes, that would be effective in and on itself. Now with that said, and at the risk of being a bit aggressive, I bet that just taking a look at your screen time will help you stop lying to yourself and embracing the fact that you do have at least 15 minutes to dedicate to a nap. Once you acknowledge that you have the time, we have to figure out how can we actually make it a part of our day-to-day. Again, this is what our friend Sarah has to say on the topic. Who's got time to nap is a common complaint among non-nappers. The short answer is just about everyone. If you spend 20 minutes or more at Starbucks getting an afternoon mocha latte, couldn't you just stay where you are and take a nap instead? So, before you conclude that napping doesn't fit into your busy life, take out your day planner and examine your schedule. By carefully reviewing the activities of your day and the time it takes to do them, you can assess which time expenditures are unnecessary and where a nap can be substituted. How long is your lunch? A paralegal with an hour lunch break reports that she can eat in half an hour and keep the second half for her nap. Or do what I do and pencil in 20 to 40 minutes as soon as you get home for a transition nap between work and leisure. Once you've carved out those precious minutes, you need to make this nap time a regular feature of your day. Just as we've developed a detailed trail of cues for our minds and bodies to recognize that it's time for nighttime sleep, we need to fashion a similar set of cues that will indicate that it's nap time. Consistent scheduling allows the body to associate that hour with the nap and all other concerns to more easily fade away. I couldn't agree more with that quote, and I want you to remember that time blocking, according to Gary Keller, which is the author of The One Thing, is the #1 power tool of time management. So the message here, use your calendar. Create a 15 to 45 minute block of time in your calendar assigned to napping and treat it as a meeting with someone else. And this is not just for naps. For every single habit that you want to start doing, you would benefit a lot from just blocking the time on your calendar and just operating from your calendar versus from a to-do list, which is a topic we are covering in the next few videos. But for now, just know that. That was exactly the limiting belief I had in the past about naps. The solution for me was, aside from obviously developing a growth mindset and, knowing that that was a limiting belief, which that is for a whole another conversation, the key was in making a paradigm shift around naps. I needed to see them differently. And this paradigm shift was the following: not seeing falling asleep as the goal of naps, and instead seeing the activation of the parasympathetic nervous system as the goal itself, which is the relaxation system of the brain. This was the game changer for me. I had the old focus was on falling asleep, and when I couldn't fall asleep, I got anxious, and then that stopped me from falling asleep, and I couldn't nap at all. And this new focus isn't just thinking of naps as a really deep, relaxing meditation. And if I fall asleep, that's great. If I don't fall asleep, that is great. Paradoxically, I just fall asleep much more with this new focus than with the old one. And I came to this paradigm shift when I heard how Brian Johnson goes about naps, and he doesn't even call them naps, he calls them napitations, which is like nap and meditations. I breathe in to 6, hold for 1, and exhale for 8. Always 5 times, no thoughts allowed. Just nice deep breath to that specific count. That's my 1-minute meditation. I do those 5 breaths every single time I lay down to take a nap, and I do the exact same thing every single time I get into bed at night. Sometimes I just continue breathing deeply. Most days I fall asleep. Sometimes it's only for around 10 minutes. Most days it's closer to 15 or 20. Every time I do it, I wake up with a burst of energy. So this is his protocol. Now that reminds me of a quote I love and the concept itself of ensu versus persu. This is Viktor Frankl on the topic, obviously on a different context. Don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you are going to miss it. For success, like happiness, cannot be pursued. It must ensue, as the unintended side effect of one's personal dedication to a cause greater than itself. That is Viktor Frankl in Man's Search for Meaning. And I treat naps the same way. The focus is not on falling asleep. The focus is on creating the conditions to fall asleep. It is not the same thing, and I assure you that that will change everything for you as well. Now, before we jump into the protocol on how to take the perfect nap, we're going to be covering the last excuse that I had in the past and that you may be having, which is naps interfere with my sleep. Once again, we're bringing Sarah to the party. I'm often asked if a nap during the day will interfere with nocturnal sleep. The answer is a definitive no. Unfortunately, many information sources on sleep hygiene encourage people to avoid napping if they are having trouble sleeping at night. Not only is there not a shred of evidence to support this advice, but much of the data coming out of sleep research demonstrates quite the opposite. Now, the conclusion of this is no, naps won't interfere with your sleep. There is one little caveat here, which is that your naps should be at least 3 hours before your bedtime, which they usually are. Now, talking from my own experience, they not only not interfered with my sleep, they helped me fall asleep faster because suddenly I was training my ability to do so 2 times a day as opposed to 1 time a day. So finally, the time has arrived. Let's move from theory to practice. This is the exact 4-step protocol I follow to nap like a pro every single day. I call it the Optimus Nap Protocol. Number 1, time your nap. Simple idea here, if you are going for a power nap, which is usually the case, keep it below 45 minutes. And if you're going to pay a sleep debt that you may have, it's okay to go for 90 minutes, not more than that. That's one thing. The other thing is to space your naps at least 3 hours between them and your desired bedtime. And lastly, you may want to take your nap when you are least alert, which that usually is 7 to 8 hours after you wake up. Personally, I aim to take a 30-minute nap or less every single day, but I set my alarm for 45 minutes. And my goal is to actually wake up before the alarm so that I wake up naturally and let my body decide when to actually wake up, which is around 25 minutes for most naps. Now, some tips that might be helpful for scheduling your nap. If you work from home, you can plan a 20 to 30 minute nap following lunch. Now, if you don't work from home and you are unable to dedicate time to naps and rest, you may schedule a quick nap in the 30 minutes after you get home. So you shift from work to the relaxation state that will help you obviously show up in a better mood and in a better position in your relationships with your family as well, so that's a bonus. And finally, if you have less than 15 minutes, instead of maybe going for a nap, you may also want to go for a NSDR protocol, which is a non-sleep deep rest protocol. There is one by Andrew Huberman that I love, and I will link it below in the video resources. So that's it for number 1. Let's go to number 2. Avoid stimulants. It is a myth that if you drink caffeine before a nap, the caffeine will hit your bloodstream as you wake up. Even tiny amounts of caffeine can significantly disrupt sleep quality, especially if you metabolize caffeine quickly. Now, there is one exception to this rule, which is a shot of tequila. That knocks you out instantly. Just kidding, obviously. Just avoid stimulants as much as possible and you'll be okay. Number 3, prime your mind. In here, it's all about developing this napitation mindset. 5 main things here. Free your mind and your nap will follow. Number 2, there is no such a thing as a bad nap, as there is no such a thing as a bad meditation, so keep that in mind. If you don't get to fall asleep, that's okay. You're relaxing your nervous system, you're meditating, you're meditating really deeply, which is great. Number 3, you have to focus on a defined anchor. Before you actually take the nap, define the anchor that you will come back to when your mind starts to wander. This is, essentially the same as meditating. I like to focus on my breath, and you can see again Brian's protocol on napitations, and he does the exact same thing. Now in here is especially important to emphasize the word effortlessly. So you want to effortlessly come back to your anchor when your mind wanders. But you don't want to be that intense. You just let it flow and effortlessly bring it back, and just keeping your mind relaxed and not triggering an anxious response. Number 4 is to be patient. Profound changes take place slowly, and the cool thing here is that the more you nap, the better you get at napping. So it's this compound interest present in every single positive habit that we start developing. So keep that in mind. And number 5, you have to transform negative thoughts into positive thoughts. Negative thoughts around napping that may come to your mind when you start trying to nap. Just replace them with positive thought. Again, and the last time that I bother you, Sarah, thank you for everything. This is her on the topic. If I nap, I'm being lazy. Replace with, napping makes me more productive. I'm too busy to nap. Replace with, I'm so busy, I need to nap. I can get anything out of a 20-minute nap, so why bother? Replace with, in less than 20 minutes, I will restore my alertness for the rest of the day. Number 4, prep the cave. Your sleep environment, and this is not only just for napping, but also for sleep, your sleep environment should be like a cave. Dark, silent, and cold. Keep it dark by either drawing blackout curtains or just using one of these. I will link the one I like in the resources below. Number 2 is to make it silent. Obviously, you try to make your environment silent, and if you can't, you may use some of those noise cancelling earbuds that are for sleep, or you may, even enjoy just putting some white noise in your phone if you don't get to sleep in a silent environment. Number 3 is to make it cold. You want to keep your room between 59 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit and from 15 to 20 degrees Celsius, and that's it. You're good to go. That leads us to the end of the video. I hope I succeeded in my mission to convince you to become a napper and to help you become the best napper you could possibly be starting today. So if you found this video valuable and you want to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on videos around energy, mind, and performance, and or if you would like to share this video with a friend so that you can help me help others as well, I would truly appreciate it, and I will see you next week.